Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another session of your favorite online academy, INSEN Academy Online. Well, today we decided to address a new subject, which is the medical English. This is going to be one of the sub-projects of INSEN Academy. And we're going to try to facilitate, maybe give you a little kick and let us start. What is the medical English? And we thought that the best way to address this category of teaching and learning is just like open a conversation about medicine in general. And what's better than addressing it a system by system? So tonight we wanted to talk about the nervous system. And as we all know, the nervous system is one of the most important parts of the human body because, as we all know, our human bodies are in an equilibrium and in a balance between our thoughts, our actions, and the things we feel. So let's start with a little plan. So we're going to start with talking about what's the nervous system, the types of neurons, synapses, and the gray matter of the central nervous system. Plus, we're going to talk about some anatomy basics. So let's start with what's the nervous system. The nervous system consists of two divisions: the central nervous system, containing the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which is a network of nerves and neural tissue branching out through the body. As you can see in this little diagram, the cerebrum and the cerebellum are the two constituents of the brain. Adding to that, the little spinal cord you see in the middle, that's our nervous system. And as we said, the peripheral nervous system is a network of nerves. So as you see, every emerging nerve out of that central system is a peripheral system. And as you see, they go all the way to all the body. So what are the types of neurons? Neurons, well, we have three major types of neurons: the motor neurons, the sensory neurons, and the interneurons. The motor neurons usually have one axon and several dendrites. The axon is covered with an insulating fatty layer called a myelin and transmits signal at long distance and at higher speeds from the neurons to the area to be activated. Dendrites are short and unsheathed, as you see in this little diagram. So we have the nucleus and the cell body of the neuron. Emerging from that, a couple of dendrites, and we have the main axon. The axon is sheathed or like protected by a myelin sheath, which you see in yellow, greenish yellow. The myelin sheath is actually a couple of cells called the Schwann cells. These Schwann cells just consist, make the sort of a sort of sheet of, I don't know how you would call it, but it's, you see the electrical cables we all use. You have like the electrical cables and sheet covering it to protect it from being contacted with other materials. So that's the Schwann cells. The Schwann cells actually ensures the protection of the axon itself. And as you see, between every Schwann cell, we have a little node called the node of Ranvier. Yeah, French people. Anyways, at the end of the axon, we have axon terminals. These terminals usually goes to muscles and usually we call them the muscular neuron junction, which are little platelets that activate the muscle. These neurons actually activate the muscle so it contracts. The sensory neurons do not have true dendrites. They are attached to sensory receptors and transmit impulses to the central nervous system, which then stimulates the interneurons and then the neurons. As you see, this is a little diagram of the sensory neuron. You see we have the cell body in the middle, giving us an axon. The axon have axon terminals, as we already saw in the motor neurons, though there's a little particularity. We see another sort of axon, but actually it's a dendrite. It's a dendrite. The dendrites give us little terminals. What is the main difference between the two? It's the function. The motor neurons are called efferent neurons, which means they go from the central nervous system to the peripheral. However, the sensory neurons are afferent, which means that they come from the peripheral platelets to the central nervous system. And as we already said, in between those two neurons, we have what we call interneurons. They are located entirely within the central nervous system. They intercept the impulse from the sensory neurons and transmit these signals to the motor neurons, which, as you see in this diagram. And I think that some of you are wondering, what does this full network have as an effect? So, for example, imagine you're sitting and you feel a little spider walking on your skin. Your sensory neuron will capture the signal and it will go straight away. Either goes up your cortex, you will feel it, you'll say, okay, this is a spider. And you'll take some time to decide, do you want to pull away the spider or you want to keep the spider on your hands? No one wants a spider on their hands. So that impulse goes straight through the sensory neuron to the interneurons. These interneurons will transmit the signal to the motor neuron and it will contract the muscle, automatically giving you a reflex, which is the reflex we all do when we feel something like this. This network is assured by synapses. So what are the synapses? Well, the synapses are connected, hooking dendrites and axons from one neuron to another. This will, as you see from this diagram, we have this neuron A connecting to the dendrites of the neuron B through what we call a synapse. As promised, we will talk about gray and white matters of the central nervous system. So we all hear that our nervous system consists of like central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. And the central nervous system has what we call a gray matter, which consists of unsheathing nerves fibers that cannot be regenerated if damaged. And they are located in the cortex or the surface layer, the cortex of the brain and the surface of the spinal cord. And consists also of the white matter, which makes up the internal structure and consists of myelinated nerve fibers. By saying myelinated nerve fibers, we mean sheathed nerve fibers and protected ones. One notion that we all kind of have that we have meninges. So what are these meninges? Well, the meninges are membranes covering the brain and the spinal cord. They are we have three: the dura mater, which is the outer layer, the arachnoid matter, which is the middle layer, and the pie matter, that's the inner layer that covers the brain and the spinal cord. These meninges are there to protect our nervous system and to ensure the vascularization and the nutrition of it. These are like major structural things that we all know. So what about talking a bit about the anatomy? Well, as I said earlier, the brain consists of two parts, the cerebrum and the cerebellum. Generally, the weight of the brain is about 3 pounds in adults, and it's consisted of about 75% water and 20% oxygen, and contains over more than 100 billion neurons. So the cerebrum, it's made up of the midbrain, pons, and the medulla. The midbrain involved with visual reflexes, the pons located between the midbrain and the medulla, controls certain respiratory functions, and the medulla contains centers that regulates heart and lung functioning, swallowing, coughing, vomiting, and sneezing. Those are like basic reflexes. Then we have the cerebellum, which is an area that coordinates musculoskeletal movement to maintain posture, balance, and muscle tone. The spinal cord is, as its name is, it's a cord that runs through our spine. It extends from the medulla of the brain to the area around the first lumbar vertebrae and the lower back. Nerves from the principal nervous system extend out from this spinal cord. And as I said, it runs through our spine. So it is protected by the vertebrae. And as we said earlier, the meninges. Talking again about the peripheral nervous system. As I said, that the peripheral nervous system is a collection of peripheral nerves or a network of peripheral nerves. And it assures the exchange between the periphery, and the central nervous system, such as both in the motor pathway, assuring movement, posture, and our muscles contracting and decontracting, and the sensory part of it, which assures that the feeling of things and all our senses. Well, since it's a live session, I would love to hear if any of you have some points that you want to talk about, or any sort of questions